Zillara sat in the large classroom, her smooth blue fingers tapping nervously on the desk. This was her first time attending a human-run academy. She came from the planet Seraphon, where emotions were controlled and biology followed a strict cycle. Her people made it only during one season every 10 years. Everything was scheduled. Everything was calm. But now nothing felt calm. Today's topic, said Professor Grivax, adjusting his translator device, is human fertility. The room went silent. Dozens of alien students stared forward. Some raised their head crests. Others blinked rapidly or hissed with confusion. Professor Grivax, a tall insectoid being, continued. Unlike most species in the galaxy, human males do not have a mating season. The words echoed in the chamber. They are ... He paused for effect. Always fertile. Gasps broke out. A few students whispered in shock. Zilara's mouth dropped open. She turned her head slowly toward the only human in the class, Daniel. He sat calmly, flipping through his notes. Not a single emotion on his face, just peace. As if what the professor said meant nothing, impossible. Zillara whispered to herself, how can they survive like that? Professor Grivax continued, it is true. Human males can reproduce. Any day, any hour, without cycle or preparation. Their biology is built for constant readiness. One student from the reptilian clan raised a claw. That sounds ... dangerous. What controls them? Grivax looked at Daniel, then back to the class. Their minds. Human culture teaches them discipline, but their biology? Always ready. Zilara's stomach flipped. She imagined what life would be like if her own males were like that. Chaos. Total chaos. The bell rang, and class ended. Students filed out quickly, whispering among themselves. But Zillara didn't move. She sat there, eyes still fixed on Daniel, who slowly packed his things. He looked up and met her gaze. She looked away fast. But it was too late. He had noticed. Daniel walked over with quiet steps. You okay? He asked with a calm smile. Zillara stood up fast, nearly knocking her chair. I just had questions. About the ... lecture. Daniel tilted his head. Everyone does. I remember my first time hearing how some aliens only mate once a decade. She blinked. We do it for order, for safety. It is natural. Daniel nodded. And for us, this is natural. She swallowed hard. May I ask you some things for study? He shrugged. Sure, I'm always happy to help a fellow student. Zilara's eyes narrowed. Even though you know what your fertility does to others? Daniel chuckled. I'm not a monster. I'm just human. His easy tone confused her more. Later that evening, she sat on her dorm bed, still shaken. She replayed the professor's words in her mind. Always fertile. It was not just a strange idea, it was terrifying. How did they control it? How did they stop their emotions from burning them alive? She opened her learning tablet and looked up human biology. Diagrams, hormone names, body heat maps. It all confirmed what the professor said. Their system was constantly active, always prepared, always waiting for a connection. Suddenly, a message pinged. Daniel, you still want to talk biology? I'm at the library. Quiet corner. No weird stuff, I promise. Her hands trembled slightly. She had met warriors, scientists, leaders, but none made her feel like this. She replied quickly. Zillara, yes, on my way. She had to understand this species, for science, for knowledge, for safety. When she arrived, Daniel was sitting alone, a small warm drink in his hands. He smiled as she approached. Hey, greetings, she said formally, sitting across from him. Thank you for allowing this. No problem, he said. Ask anything. She stared at him for a moment. Is it hard? Always being ready? He raised an eyebrow. Honestly? You learn to live with it. We grow up knowing how to control it. It's not just about biology. It's about heart, trust, and timing, Xylera blinked. But there's no off switch. He smiled. Nope, that's the fun and the risk, her mind swam. For her people, mating was emotionless, mechanical. But humans felt things. Wanted. Things, at any time. She leaned forward, voice low. Your kind is strange, Daniel. He laughed softly. Takes one to know one. Xylera looked down at her shaking hands. The strange warmth in her chest hadn't left since class. For the first time in her life, she wasn't sure if it was fear or curiosity. Xylera had read every file on human biology. She had memorized hormone names, drawn diagrams, and even watched interviews with Earth scientists. But nothing prepared her for what she saw that evening in the training gym. Thought she had only gone there to observe, to take silent notes. But when she stepped through the doorway, she froze. Daniel was alone, shirtless, and lifting a large steel bar. His muscles tensed with every movement. Sweat ran down his skin in slow, shining drops. His heart rate was steady, his breath controlled. Yet his body looked like a weapon forged from flesh. Is he preparing for mating? She thought in panic. Her people only trained when a breeding cycle was near. But he was just doing it casually. She pressed herself against the wall, hidden by shadows. Her eyes wide. Daniel dropped the weight with a deep exhale and wiped his face with a towel. Then he spoke without looking up. You know, it's rude to stare that long. Xylera nearly jumped. Oh, how did you know I was here? She said, stepping forward slowly. He looked over his shoulder, smirking. Human ears are better than you think. She tried to stay calm. I came to observe, for science. He threw the towel around his neck and picked up a bottle of water. And what did science teach you tonight? She bit her lower lip. That your body is always ready for conflict. Or something else. He laughed softly. Relax, Xylera. I'm not going to pounce on you. This is just a workout. She looked at him seriously. That's the problem, my body thinks. It might not be. Daniel's smile faded a little. You okay? She took a deep breath. I want to learn. But I also want to stay in control. Daniel nodded. Fair deal. Let's start with questions, real ones. They sat on the bench nearby. He pulled on a loose shirt, but the heat from his body still reached her. She stared at him for a moment. Why are you always warm? Humans run hotter than many species, he said. It helps our muscles, our brains. And yeah, sometimes it drives others crazy. Do you release mating signals? He shrugged. Not unless I want to. But I've heard some aliens react even when we're not trying. That is happening to me, she admitted. My skin changes color near you, my breath speeds up. That only happens during mating trials. Daniel leaned back. And you're not in season? My species has no season on this moon. I should feel nothing. A silence fell between them. The only sound was the soft hum of the lights and the gentle beat of Daniel's pulse. Then he said something unexpected. You don't have to be scared of me, Xylera, she blinked. I'm not scared, she said too quickly. He smiled again. You're studying me like I'm a bomb. A bomb that never powers down, she said softly. He laughed again. But kindly this time. That's fair. She pulled out her datapad. Then help me. Let's make this an official case study. I will record your answers. No tricks, no feelings. Daniel's eyes sparkled. Good luck with that. Excuse me? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. The more time you spend around a human, the harder it is to stay neutral. We're built to connect, to bond, even without a mating season. Xylera's throat tightened. She had come for facts, but she was leaving with questions her science couldn't answer. Still, she nodded. Then let's test that theory. She didn't know if she was ready for the answers, but something deep inside her wanted them. Xylera was in the academy courtyard, observing from behind a glowing plant wall. Her hand gripped her datapad, but her eyes weren't on the screen. They were on Daniel. He was laughing with a group of students, 2 humans, 1 4-armed Trelkin, and a female insectoid. He stood tall, relaxed, and glowing with health. But it wasn't just his muscles or warmth that caught her attention this time. It was something else. All of them were drawn to him. Not just the females. Everyone. Even beings with no interest in mating leaned closer when he spoke. Is this his pheromones at work? She wondered. No. This is deeper, stronger. She clicked her recorder on. Day 4 of human male study. Subject shows no mating effort, yet social pull remains high. Subject does not dominate. He attracts. Just then, Daniel looked toward the wall, straight at her. You really gotta stop hiding, he said, grinning. She stepped out, feeling her face flush purple. I wasn't hiding, I was observing. He walked over slowly. Right, and the plant wall just happened to be in the way. Xylera opened her notes. I need answers. Daniel crossed his arms. Go on. Why are humans so physically strong, even when not in combat mode? Daniel raised an eyebrow. Ever lifted a Grok's backpack? Yes, it almost crushed me. He laughed. I carry one every day. Xylera stared. But why? Daniel looked up at the twin suns. Because human strength isn't just about battle. We build strength to protect, to survive, to love. And sometimes just because it feels good. To love? She repeated, confused. Daniel nodded. Yeah, some of us train harder when we care for someone. We want to be there when they need us. That answer didn't compute. Xylera shook her head. So your strength is emotional? He smiled. Sometimes. Her voice grew quiet. My people only become stronger during mating season. Our bodies shift temporarily, then go back to normal. Daniel shrugged. For us, it's always, we evolve with stress, with feeling. We grow through pain. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small picture, 2 old humans hugging each other. These are my parents. They've been together for 40 years. Through war, illness, loss, but they stayed strong for each other. Xylera looked at the image. It was warm, emotional, real. Her kind would never share something like this. Not unless commanded by the Gene Council. That's why you're always fertile, she whispered. Daniel tilted his head. Huh? It's not just biology. It's because your species is built on constant connection. Your body is ready because your heart is always open. Daniel blinked, surprised. Wow, that's kinda deep, Xylera. She turned away, confused by her own words. It's just a theory. He leaned closer. You want to test it? How? He smiled. Come with me. She hesitated. But then nodded. He took her to the human training grounds, a room filled with sound, heat, and energy. Male and female humans lifted, punched, stretched, and ran like machines, but they smiled, laughed, encouraged each other. No aggression. No coldness. Just passion. One human girl slipped and fell. A boy rushed to help her up, gently brushing her arm. Her face turned red. The boy laughed nervously. They flirt even while training. Xylera whispered. Daniel nodded beside her. It's part of who we are. Strength isn't just for ourselves. It's for the people we care about. Xylera's hand trembled on the glass. She had come here to understand a biological puzzle, but now she saw something she wasn't ready for. The human male's strength wasn't just in his body. It was in his ability to care, to protect, to feel. And worst of all, she was starting to feel it too. It started with a dream. Xylera stood on a burning field. Her skin was glowing with heat, her breathing sharp, her chest tight. She was outreaching for someone she couldn't see. Then a hand grabbed hers, warm, strong, human. She woke up gasping. Her body temperature had risen by 2 degrees. Her inner sensors were active. Her fingers trembled. Her mating glands, normally dormant, had opened. "No, this isn't possible," she whispered. "There is no mating season here." She jumped out of bed, scanned herself with her datapad, and froze. Her biology was in full response mode. Heart rate elevated. Pheromone levels unstable. Reproductive markers activated. This can't be real. There was no trigger. No signal from my people. I am not in season. But something deep inside her didn't care about science anymore. And she knew exactly what had caused this. Daniel. Later that morning, she stormed into the Academy medical wing. The scanner pod bathed her in light as the II checked her vitals. Species, Seraphon. Age, 22 cycles. Status, prefertile phase. Prefertile? She said, panicked. That's not possible here. The AI responded calmly. Unusual activation. Detected, likely external stimulus. Emotional or biological in nature. She slammed her hands on the console. What kind of stimulus? The AI paused. Possible match. Prolonged exposure to emotionally resonant human male. Zelira's breath caught. Her hands began to glow faintly, an old Seraphon sign of internal change. She left the pod quickly, her mind spinning. No, I didn't touch him. I didn't even let him get close. But her body told a different story. She found Daniel in the garden, feeding some small Terran birds. His sleeves were rolled up, his skin golden under the light, and his voice soft as he whistled. He looked up as she approached. "Hey, Xi, you okay? You look flushed." She didn't answer. Just stared. "Did you touch me in some way I didn't feel?" she asked. Daniel frowned. "What? No. I wouldn't do that. Then why is my body reacting as if we mated?" She snapped. His face reddened. "Wait, what?" She pulled out her scanner and shoved it toward him. "Look. These readings. Your presence is changing my hormones. My scent. My skin. You're doing something." He stepped back slowly, hands raised. "I swear, I haven't done anything but talk to you," her voice cracked. "Then why do I dream of your warmth? Why do I feel you even when you're not there?" Daniel's voice dropped. "Maybe it's not about what I did. Maybe it's about what you feel." She froze. The word hit her like a wave. Feel. Her kind weren't trained to feel deeply. They were trained to control. But here she was, body on fire, thoughts full of human touch, and dreams she couldn't erase. Daniel walked closer, slowly. "Zelira, I never tried to affect you. I've only ever been honest with you." She looked up at him, unsure of herself. "I know," she whispered. "And maybe that's what's dangerous." He paused. "Do you want me to stay away?" She hesitated. Her instincts screamed yes, but her heart whispered no. "No," she said quietly. "I need to understand this. All of it." Daniel smiled. "Then we figure it out together." Zelira sat beside him on the stone bench, her body still trembling. The birds chirped. The wind was soft, and the heat between them refused to fade. The Academy lights were off for the night of silence, a once-a-cycle event where all power, sound, and machines were shut down for 6 hours. A moment of peace. A moment of stars. But for Zelira, the silence was dangerous, because in silence, she could hear her heart. She stood on the rooftop garden, alone, wrapped in a dark robe. The twin moons above cast a silver glow across the glass panels. Stars blinked across the black sky, cold and beautiful, and behind her, she sensed him, thought. "I'd find you here," Daniel said quietly. She didn't turn around. "I couldn't sleep," she answered. "Too many thoughts. Too many changes." He stepped beside her, not too close, just enough. "Your skin is glowing again," he whispered. "I know." A pause. Then she finally turned her head. "You're doing it again." Daniel raised his eyebrows. "Doing what?" "Making me feel out of control." He gave a soft smile. That's not a crime, is it? She shook her head slowly. For my people, it is. They stood in silence for a long moment. The wind moved gently through the trees. The sky above looked like a painting. Then she said it. I'm scared, Daniel. He turned toward her fully. Of me? She shook her head. No, of me, of what I'm becoming. He looked at her with care. You're not becoming anything bad. She met his eyes. I wake up feeling your warmth. I dream of your voice. My biology is changing, but this is deeper. Something inside me wants you. Daniel's expression changed. Not surprise. Not fear. Just understanding. He stepped forward slowly, lowering his voice. Then let me say something too. She held her breath. I've liked you since the first day you tried to study me like I was some weird bug. You asked bold questions. You didn't blink when the others stared. And when you sat beside me with shaking hands, trying to act brave, I knew you had a stronger heart than anyone else I'd met. Xylara's chest ached. No one had spoken to her like this. Not on her planet. Not anywhere. Why me? She whispered. Daniel looked up at the stars. Because you don't look at me like a threat. You look at me like a mystery. And you stayed, even when your body begged you to run. Tears built in her eyes, strange, hot tears she didn't understand. I don't know what's happening to me, she whispered. Daniel gently reached out, not touching her, just offering his hand. Then let it happen. Slowly, together. She stared at his open hand. Her heart raced. Her skin warmed. And then for the first time, she took it. Warm, safe, real. They stood beneath the stars, fingers intertwined, two beings from different worlds. No mating season. No schedule, no command, just choice. Just them. The alarms went off during the morning briefing. Sharp red lights flashed through the halls of the academy. Students froze mid-step, doors locked. Security drones dropped from the ceilings. Xylara was pulled out of her dorm by two armed Seraphon guards. What's happening? She asked, heart pounding. The taller guard answered coldly. The council knows, Xylara. You've been exposed. Exposed to what? But deep down. She already knew. Inside the towering council hall, cold blue. Lights washed over polished black floors. 12 beings sat in a half-circle, judges from every major race in the sector. Xylara stood alone in the center. Her robe was wrinkled. Her heart was racing. Her skin still faintly glowed from the night before. She felt like she was standing on trial for something ancient. Forbiddens. Xylara of Seraphon, one of the counselors said, his voice echoing through the chamber. You are accused of entering a biological bond with an off-species male. Whispers broke out behind the walls. Hidden watchers, recorders, eyes. I did no such thing, she replied, voice trembling. Then explain your hormonal changes. Another voice said. Your altered scent, your genetic instability. It was not forced, she said quietly. It happened on its own. The room went still. One of the insectoid judges hissed. So you admit the human infected you? Xylara's eyes flared. He did nothing to me. He respected me more than any Seraphon male ever did. The silence shattered like glass. The judges looked at each other, disturbed. Bring in the human, one of them said. The side doors opened. Daniel was escorted in, but unchained. He stood tall, calm, eyes locked on Xylara. The moment their eyes met, a soft pulse passed between them. Warm, real, alive. A machine near the judges. Beep detecting something unseen. A bond signature, one judge said. Faint, but present. Xylara stepped forward. He did not create it. I accepted it. The lead judge leaned forward. You know this type of bond is dangerous. It can affect generations. Cause emotional instability. Disturb peace treaties. Daniel spoke for the first time, or maybe it can build new ones. The room gasped again. Another judge growled. And what do you offer? What does your species give in return? Daniel looked around the room, then back at Xylera. Choice. What? My species gives choice. We don't mate by order. We don't wait for seasons. We choose each other. Not because we have to, but because we want to. His words echoed through the hall. Xylera stepped beside him. He's not my weakness, he's my balance. The judges remained silent for a long time. Then the lead judge spoke. You will not be punished. But your case will become a test, Anne. Experiment. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Experiment? You will be watched. Every day. Every action. If your bond fails, the program ends. If it survives, we may allow more. Daniel looked at Xylera. She nodded. Double quotes, we accept. They said together. As they walked out of the chamber. Side by side, Daniel whispered, So, now we're official science? Xylera smiled. Yes, we're a dangerous experiment, he laughed. My favorite kind. The room was filled with silence, but not the heavy kind. It was the kind of silence that comes after a storm, the kind that feels earned. Xylera stood at the front of the Academy's lecture hall, her hands behind her back, her glowing skin calm and steady. Behind her, a large screen displayed the title of her final report, Emotional Fertility, the Human Gift That Changed Me. The room was full. Alien students, human teachers, council observers. Even the old judge who once called Daniel a biological threat sat in the back row watching her with quiet interest. Xylera began. 3 cycles ago, I believed in structure, in rules, in the idea that mating was only biology and feelings were weakness. She looked toward the audience. Then I met a human male named Daniel. A few gasps, a few whispers. No one interrupted. He didn't use pheromones. He didn't force a bond. He didn't chase. He simply stayed. And because he stayed, I began to feel something I had no name for. Her fingers trembled, but she didn't hide them. Human males are always fertile. This fact once terrified me. But now I understand it's not a flaw, it's a symbol. She pressed a button. The screen changed to show an image. Daniel helping a wounded alien child. No heat, no flirtation. Just kindness. Their readiness to mate is matched by their readiness to love, to protect, to connect every day. Not just during seasons, not just for breeding, but because that's how they survive. That's how they live. She turned from the screen and smiled softly. And now, that's how I live too. The room remained silent for a long second. Then applause. Not just polite. Real, loud, honest. Daniel stood near the back, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, grinning like a fool. After the lecture, students surrounded her with questions. How do I apply for the human exchange program? Are they really that warm to the touch? Can emotional bonds really make us stronger too? She answered with patience, with laughter, with warmth. For the first time, Xylera wasn't just a student. She was a bridge. Later that night, she met Daniel on the same rooftop where she once confessed her fears. But this time, her voice was steady. The council is opening the program. They're allowing supervised human bonds. Daniel raised an eyebrow. You mean, we're not the experiment anymore? She smiled. No, we're the example. He stepped closer. So, what now? She reached for his hand, not shaking this time. Now. One, choose you. Not because I'm in heat, not because of instinct, but because I want a life where connection never sleeps. Daniel kissed her forehead gently. Welcome to the human way. They stood beneath the stars, side by side. And somewhere in the galaxy's great silence, a new kind of love had begun. Not by command, not by season, but by choice.